the story game from 2020. It's a horror anthology made in Hawaii and set in Japan. Theme song.
Calhoun's Reviews! Calhoun's Reviews!
If you want to see Story Game, check out the link in the description below. So the movie is kind of odd. It's, the premise is 3 college kids are camping and they decide to sit around the campfire and make up horror stories. They use an app that supposedly one of their friends made that randomizes the premise of the story.
It's called the Story Game.
Looks interesting. So you just spin the dial and it gives you 3 elements?
Yep, a location, a genre, and an X factor.
A what factor?
An X factor, something you have to include in the story.
And we have to tell a story with all 3 elements?
Yeah, and the person who tells the best story wins the game.
So the app supposedly said all the stories have to be set in Japan and be supernatural horror featuring green eyes. And I was wondering why all the stories were set in Japan, and it looks like this is kind of a vanity project. The writer-director, he used to be a finance guy, and his IMDb bio, which I'm guessing he wrote, talks about how he was born and raised in Hawaii and he wanted to encourage filmmaking there. And looking at the credits, one of the production companies that's co-producing it is from Japan. So I'm guessing he's like, give me some money and I'll make part of it in Japan. It's also, the green eyes bit is kind of weird because they are not realistic green at all, which is kind of weird, but it's there. And one of the stories barely features it at all. So 2 of the stories they make up are set in contemporary Japan. One is set in feudal Japan. The first one's probably the weakest because it's the most derivative. It is set in a Japanese high school, and the school's having a Halloween costume dance, which I don't even know, do they do that in Japan? Do they do Halloween, really? Let alone costume school dances? I don't know. And the girl that gets picked on, she becomes prom queen, only it's not prom. And so you can probably guess where it's going. I will say, mild spoilers, the thing that sets the horror into action is so super mild. I was like, that's, one, is supposed to embarrass her, and secondly, that's what gets her upset. It'd be almost like if we were in an argument and you'd be like, oh yeah, well your dog is not very well kept. And that would be like, set me over the edge. It's like, what? The second one is about a guy who meets a mysterious woman. That one, I was kind of wondering what was going on. The mysterious woman obviously is mysterious. The third one is about a lord in feudal Japan who has these masks that are supposedly preventing a curse from falling on him. And I think I probably like that one the best. So each of the stories, it's like, it's my turn to tell the story. And I will say that the college kid actors, even though a couple of them done other things, they are not great. And I don't know if it's the acting or the directing or the writing, because they're not great.
Well, that's going to be me because I am the best storyteller.
Oh, hold on there, Dr. Watson. I mean, pretty sure you're just a comic book nerd.
We're called graphic novelists. Maybe you heard of this billion-dollar industry, huh?
Nice.
Then there's the end, which it goes in a weird direction from supernatural subgenre into another subgenre of horror. And I don't really know what they were trying to do. The film itself is pretty mild in terms of the horror and the gore. Probably could have been PG-13. It's not bad, it's definitely not the worst vanity film I've ever seen. So because of that, I was entertained. Aside from the first story, I didn't really know where the other 2 were going. So I'm going to give Story Game 3 thumbs up. Campfire Stories. Best vanity film ever? Please explain the end by leaving a comment where you explain it and you like and subscribe.